Ramki Gaddipati is a BITS alumnus, graduated from BITS Pilani in 1998. I thank everyone for taking out time to join us today for this enriching session on design by the Director of UX at Zeta, Mr. Ramakrishna. Mr. Ramakrishna has previously worked at Housing.com and Zoho as a senior UI UX designer. In this Design 101 session, he will be talking about the tools he used, validation, and much more, which would be a complete game changer for all us aspiring designers. With this, I would like to give the stage to Mr. Ramakrishna to begin with this session, which all of us have been eagerly waiting for.
Yeah, hey Aryan, thank you so much for the intro. It was pretty exhaustive, I think, about everyone in the company as well. So thank you so much, first of all, for everyone to attend this session in the first place, and good evening. So I'll start with a few questions, first of all, which is the first basic question would be, how many of you have been to the session which was conducted yesterday? If you can just mark yes or no, it will be great. So it was conducted by Mohit from Zeta. So you can say yes or no in case you have been to or not been to as well. Okay. Cool. I think we have enough. Now comes the fun part. So even before introducing me, I want to understand say certain perspective. I hope you have your phone in hand, but your laptop, which has your Zoom as well. So I'm going to share my screen and I want you to answer these questions. Okay? Just a moment. I think I need access for screen sharing.
Gautam Bhaiya, could you?
Yeah, I'll have to enable the access probably.
What access is to be given?
No, not you. I'll have to enable the access.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. So I'm going to present this in a full screen. And there is a QR code which will be there in the corner. You can even scan that. Okay. You can scan this first of all on your phone, and it will show you how many people are ready. This is your first question. What's the strangest thing that you have done while attending an online class? Question that I had asked initially on how many people had online and how many people had offline sessions. Just answer this by scanning the QR code on the left. I would see the counter on the top right, by the way. Eating breakfast. If only I could see the count of talking to my girlfriend, boyfriend, would have been great. I would expect all 44 answers, or at least, let's say 30. The ones who are on phone, it will be difficult for you to scan the QR code, I understand. Like everyone has been eating the breakfast. Looks like you have morning classes a lot. Very obvious. But anyways, so that's one. Brush my teeth and the took shower comes as a second and third. Perfect. Cool. I'll be sharing my presentation now so that we can get started. Okay. Okay, so someone has to let me know if you can see my screen. Aryan, can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. So welcome, folks. I'm Ramakrishna. I'm the Director of Design at Zeta. And the metaphors that you see at the bottom are nothing but the first one means artist or designer, and the second one means a traveler who has been around some places, at least in the world. The third one means I'm a foodie, but you might hate me for this. I'm a vegetarian foodie. But I don't know how many people are vegetarian in this group, but still. And the fourth one is nothing but a gadget, say person who is not into buying gadgets, but who will use others' gadgets instead of wasting money and buying on my own. So that's the basic context about me. So what happens is that before the pandemic, there was this instance where I used to go to different colleges and different companies, let's say Paytm, Amazon, and etc. And I used to conduct, say, sessions there. And in this scenario, what used to happen was, so people used to give me hotels to stay in, and it used to be pretty good hotels with good restrooms and etc. Interesting part that happened here was, as a middle class, the one thing that you will go inside for into the restroom is for the miniature toiletries, right? Because you'd want to hoard all of them and keep it with yourself and see if you can take it to some other trip later, because you know that in flights you're not allowed for more than 100 ml. So I went to the restroom as usual to see how good is the restroom in the first place. And the next thing that I did was basically see this in front of the mirror. So this was exactly near the mirror in the area. And my face reaction goes completely crazy. Extremely excited to see that the typography was amazing in this, the way it was extremely minimal in place, and also says this works at the bottom, right? So everything looked cool in this until I turned back, okay? Until I turned back and I saw this. So now the question to you folks, after seeing this, my face reaction was gone. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Because of the way everything looks the same. So what do you think is the problem? I would want at least 1 or 2 people to either chat or even speak out by unmuting yourself. So what do you think was the reason behind my reaction in this case? So there is no wrong answers, by the way. So please answer anything that you feel like. As a person who would have gone to a hotel like this and seen bottles like this, you can answer whatever you think is right. Yeah, I can see a chat, but I don't think I can open it. Can't distinguish easily. Yes, that's the one major problem which I could find as well. 1 second, folks. I'm not able to close the chat window at all. Is there a shortcut for chat close? Cool. Perfect. So yes, it's not easy to distinguish. The problem for me was every single thing had like a red color text and it had like a black color text below it. The most weird part was that if I could use my nails and scratch it, the ink was going away. Okay, the print was going away, which means even with water, the print was easily going away. And assume that I'm washing my face. I could easily wash my face with some conditioner without even knowing what is what in the first place. And if I'm taking bath, instead of applying shampoo first, I could have used conditioner. Instead of using a body lotion, I could have used something else. All of these are the troubles which I could see. And I think if you have been to supermarkets, you would have realized that the shampoo bottle is different and the conditioner is different. Any reason why they're different? You can answer actually by speaking out, because I'm not able to go to the chat. If not, someone of your team members has to read the chat. So why do you think the shampoo bottle looks different and the conditioner looks different in supermarkets? Or have you seen it looking different in the first place? Have you seen any fundamental difference in the way they have kept?
Yeah, they are different, I guess, to differentiate again.
And how is it differentiated? What is the difference that you found in general?
I've generally seen that it's the conditioner bottles are smaller in size.
Okay. So there is one primary say distinguish whatever difference that you could see in this. A shampoo bottle is kept upright in a proper manner, but a conditioner is kept inverted. It's always inverted. Okay. Every conditioner bottle that you see will be kept inverted. And here everything is inverted weirdly. I can't even place it normally because of the way the text is written. But in supermarkets, the reason it's kept that way, or the reason why it is designed that way, is because the viscosity of a conditioner is much more thicker than the shampoo. And it doesn't come out otherwise. So the conditioner doesn't come out if you have kept it normally, because it will be it's like a whipped cream. You'll have to invert it and you have to say squeeze the bottle, only then it will flow out. Another very, very important example there that you would have seen is the Heinz ketchup bottle. The actual glass bottle which you have seen, you will have to put a lot of pressure into it. You'll have to actually keep banging it on the backside of it to get the ketchup out, right? Now the reason of this is because, so this was, I think, designed in 1876 in the first place, the glass bottle. And you would have seen a post everywhere about UI UX of a sauce bottle. And I don't know how many people have actually shared it or reshared it. But one thing that is completely wrong with this is there is nothing called UI separately and UX separately in such bottles. You can't say that a glass bottle is a UI and a squeeze bottle is a UX. So what happened in this glass bottle context was that, so Heinz, when they made this in 1876, there was no context. The only reason why they built it in a glass bottle is to preserve the element inside it or the content inside it, because you can't keep it for a long time if it's in a plastic bottle, etc. and all. Hence, they went with glass bottle from the start, and there was no context of plastic much at that point of time. But then later, there was actually, say, some context where they felt that the researchers have to go and observe people instead of simply going with the glass bottles and etc. and all. So a small team of researchers went into some families. Instead of asking them questions, they sat and observed what is going on. In one such family, there was a mom, a dad, and 2 kids, and the kid wanted ketchup. So what happened here was the kid ran to the kitchen. The kid got the ketchup bottle, but as soon as the kid got the ketchup bottle, the mom actually grabbed it from her kid and she started serving the kids. Now, after observing this, the Heinz researchers felt very, very bad about this because the kids are consuming ketchup 60% more than the adults, which means their primary consumers are kids, and the kids can't experience the use of these bottles in the first place. The reason why the mom snatched is very, very easy or simple, is because it's a glass bottle and they didn't want the kids to use it and break it and etc. Hence, they made it like that. But later, the Heinz researchers went back to the drawing board and they thought that this is not good. So basically, using a glass bottle and ensuring that the kids are not being able to use it is it's not the right thing. Let's do something else. And they came up with a plastic bottle like this. Now, this is a plastic squeezable bottle. The only context is that it's kept upright. It's kept in the normal condition. Like you can actually place it in the kitchen with Heinz facing in a normal manner. But then later, it's not right to keep the same design for a longer time without doing research. So they felt that there could be some problems with this as well. And after going and researching, they found out that a lot of ketchup is going and blocking the nozzle as well in this, right? Because of the way it basically dries up after a point of time. And at the same time, you'll have to keep pressing it and keep it upright. A lot of them are static in the top. It keeps drying up. And this also ensures that it makes the user feel that there is nothing inside. And you'll have to put a hole again and then drop the ketchup. So what they did was they built it again like a conditional bottle this time, in which you can squeeze it. The Heinz is actually upright facing you, and the bottle cap is at the bottom now, which means that if the user wants to use it, they can easily use it. So never ever share that thing that you saw online, which says the glass bottle is UI and the plastic bottle is UX. So both of them have UI and UX. UI is user interface, UX is user experience. And ensure that people don't say it otherwise in the first place. So both of them have to go hand in hand. There is nothing like only UI is there and only UX is there and etc. and all. So both have to be together for a good experience for the user. So yeah, not to this is what was told. So the next point is going to be about something which which you would have shared a lot in Facebook in the past. Yes, of course, I don't think how many people, I'm not sure how many people use Facebook nowadays, but still in the past, this image would have been used a lot. Let's see that once. This is that image which says design is this path and user experience is this smaller path. Now, again, you can unmute yourself and explain me what is going on here at least. So one of you can unmute and you can tell me what is right, what is wrong, or what do you think this is about? So why do you think user experience is in the smaller path and design is the pathway? Any one of you? We have half a century folks. So there is again no right or wrong answers. Feel free. So no one is going to punish you for any answers here. Okay. Anyone?
Sir, so basically, I feel that the design at that point of time does not really consider the user experience or convenience. They basically don't align with that. So maybe this picture signifies that.
Okay. So what do you think is right in this? Is the user experience the right thing here? Or do you basically think that the pathway that is there, where the guy is walking with a bag, right? Is that the right experience, do you think?
I feel if the pathway would have been made on that route, it would have been a better user experience.
Got it. Okay. So what happens is that when this photo is usually shown to people, they assume that the shorter path where the user walks in is a good experience. But on the other hand, let's think of the actual scenarios, right? Assume that there is a person trying to cross the road by taking their trolley, and the trolley has to be carried on this pathway, which is usually, let's say, sandy, or it will be rocky and etc. Versus on the design front that you're seeing on the right side, you can easily move the trolley around. Now let's assume there is a girl who is with her stilettos and she wants to walk on the left side. It's not easily possible. And assume that on top of all of this, there is one more scenario that I can bring in, that it's raining now. When it's raining, the entire place will be muddy and this person can't really walk with stilettos on that path or even take a trolley in that path. Or assume that there is a person who is going with a wheelchair. All of these are not possible in the left side path at all. Even though we call it, or someone online would have called this as user experience, it is not possible to actually take them into this path at all. Now, the way all of these road or structures are designed is by keeping even garden into picture, is by keeping even the environment into picture. So we should not completely forget that there was a garden here, which the users completely ignored and walked on it in the first place. When there was a road, if there is urgency, they can go it in some other, they can go in some other transport itself. So there is nothing again called this is design and this is user experience. In user experience as well, there could be some, say, only for a person who is simply walking and going somewhere fast on a normal, say footwear, is okay with going on the left. But anyone with any other accessibility issues can't really go on the left side path at all. So there is nothing again wrong or right. Hence the content for that. So design is not the path, but it could be anything here in this group. Now there is a small activity here. I would want you to take your papers and pencil or pen, whichever you have, or you can answer it outright as well in case you don't have a paper or pencil. But the question here is, how many people have used the microwave? You have to say yes by unmuting. I don't want you to chat because I can't see it. So how many people have used a microwave in the past? If you have used it, say yes, and you can unmute, you can mute.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there anyone who has never used a microwave? So that's also completely fine. It's okay to not use it as well. Anyone's house, or if they have not used it elsewhere, you can say no. But I'm assuming people have used this. I'll give you a small story of what usually happens in the other countries when we travel, right? So I stay in hostels, okay? Any place I go to, the most important things that I stay in hostels. All of these hostels have a shared kitchen as well. And so what happens in the shared kitchen is that you'll be seeing a microwave, you'll be seeing utensils, stove, and everything that is required for anyone to usually cook. The microwave is filled with a lot of information. And usually it's in some European language. It could be in German, it could be in some other language of their own country as well. So what happens is that any person who can't read English. So usually what happens is if you see some Chinese who go to other countries, and you'll find Chinese in all the countries, by the way, where if you're traveling, you'll find one or the other in every single country for sure. But every single person who is traveling around, they don't understand English in the first place. Even their forms, even the immigration form has to be filled by someone else because it's in English. Hence, in some countries, if you go to Russia and etc., you'll be seeing the name boards as well in Chinese. You'll be seeing in English, in Russian, and in Chinese, only to cater to them, right? But what happens is that when such folks come and use a microwave, anytime I've seen, this is not to even say stereotype anyone, but I've been to 3 places I've experienced it actually thrice, where I go to a shared kitchen, I see some Asian there, and when I come out and when I go back inside, something or the other is burnt. Some food is burnt, and you'll get the entire kitchen smelling as like a burnt smell. And you will realize the reason, because if you zoom into this, you will see that everything is in English here. They won't even understand what is what if they don't see the metaphors used inside. There's something called a turntable, convection, grill, microwave. All of these are different words used. And a person who doesn't understand English can't even read it in the first place. Now, even if you know English in the first place right here, it's very hard to use a microwave. You keep the food inside and you don't know which button to press. The same happens in even the washing machine as well. If you see a new say washing machine which you have not used for a long time, or if you're going to a new house, which is a different model, for instance, you won't know how to use it. You don't know which button to press first in a quick manner. Everything else that you've been using at home is a muscle memory that you have. You know what button to press, you know how many clothes to put, you know how much water to add, and etc. Or when to stop the say washing machine as well. But now I'll give you a scenario. You know that this is a very hard problem wherein all the buttons are there, and we users, we always use. So at home, whatever I use is basically something more simpler. I set the temperature or the timer to basically 30 seconds. And whatever food it is, I keep it for 30 seconds and see how hot it is. If it's okay for me, I'll eat it. Otherwise, I'll keep it inside and again keep it for another 30 seconds. This is how I used to use. Now, the problem statement is something different for you. It's not to cook a curd rice hot or whatever, say reheat something else and etc. But I'll give you a small scenario. So keep the scenario in mind when you're actually doing something. Assume that you're in an event in a public space, which is offline and not an online space. And we have a 300 member capacity there in that event space. Okay. So it's a 300 seater capacity event. And so what is happening is that there is a 1 hour event and there is an organizer who is bringing, let's say Aryan or Gautam or anyone is bringing around 300 samosas and keeping it in the entrance. Now, so what the speaker says, basically what I say in the middle of the session is that you can't go and eat it now because we'll give you a lunch break or a snacks break after half an hour. In this half an hour time, or after the half an hour time, after 30 minutes, is when you can go and eat your samosas. Now, Gautam or Aryan is very frustrated because the samosas are cold already because they got it hot, assuming everyone can eat something hot. Now, they're very frustrated with me because I've given them a half an hour time space wherein only after that they can go and eat. But to their fortunate incident or mindset, they have a microwave kept in the event space itself outside. Now, your job or everyone's job here is to ensure that you take the samosa that you need, and you know that you don't want to eat it basically that cold. You want to heat it and eat it. Now, if this is your scenario or this is the problem statement, so how would your say microwave look like? How would your button or the interface look like is what you'll have to define. You can start now. I'll give you literally 2 minutes. It's not going to take much time for you because you know there are say buttons that you have to remove anyways. So you're given 2 minutes. You can get started and you can figure out what to be done. I'll set my timer on my phone for a moment. If you have any questions, you can ask, by the way, in the middle. And good designers need to ask questions. Even if it's the silliest one, it's important that you understand the problem statement. If you understood, it's okay. If you didn't understand, you'll have to keep asking questions. And if you have an answer before, you can feel free to answer it. So does anyone have any questions on the statement, or is it confusing?
I guess, can you repeat the question for everyone?
Yeah. So you have an event space and there are around, let's say 300 people in the event, and the organizer is bringing around 300 samosas in the start of the event. They're keeping it outside, but only after half an hour is when everyone can go and eat the samosas. Now, when you go out, of course, it'll be cold. All you have to do is heat the samosas, okay? And you'll have to eat them. Now, all you have in that place is one microwave. Now you'll have to define or design that microwave buttons or the interface in such a way that you can heat the samosas and eat it. Okay? Is that clear? So the problem statement is to design the microwaves interface. The thing that you're seeing here on screen. So does anyone have any answer? It's almost 2 minutes. I'm stopping it now. Yeah. Any answers, folks? What would this right side panel look like? Again, there are no right answers, wrong answers, because look at how they have done it. They have put literally everything up front like a bank's app. If you go to ICICI, HDFC, you'll see all these icons placed like this. That's how they have done it, a big brand as well. So there is no right or wrong answers again.
I guess if you want to do it the quickest, you'll have like a timer screen, a reheat button, and a plus 15-second button.
Okay, so you'll have a plus 15-second button. You'll have a timer knob, I believe, and then
Timer, yeah, no, like the topmost part there is in this panel of the microwave to show like 15, 14, 13 as time goes by, and a reheat button, just so because we just need to heat it up for everybody as fast as we can.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other simpler answers? Do you have lesser buttons or lesser interface elements?
We'll have a plus button and a minus button. Which will just decrease and increase the amount of samosas you're going to put it into the microwave, and a display which shows what is the current value, like 15 samosas or 20 samosas. That's it.
Okay. Now I have a question to some of you. When you assume that you have kept something in the microwave, so how do you open it usually? So when do you open it, and do you do something before you open it, or when does the microwave switch off? Assume that you want to say remove the item before it switches off. So how do you stop the microwave otherwise? Has anyone tried simply opening the microwave to switch off the microwave?
Someone in the chat is saying.
Okay.
a beep and open the door.
You heat and open the door, you're saying?
A beep, and then someone else is saying open the door, simply.
Got it, got it. So usually what happens in these microwave is that if you open, it will switch off, right? You keep something inside. So the answer could be as simple as you keep the samosas inside, you close it, it can switch on its own, or you can keep one button to switch on. When you open it, it switches off. There is no need for you to switch off at all. So whenever you know that after a point that it heats up, you can see the heating element which is going on inside, because it'll be light again. So if you feel that it's heated, you can open it. We don't need so many buttons for the same. And again, this is only for this scenario. What people do when they build all these products is to build for a bigger scenario as well, and not for just a smaller scenario. But just to make you understand that for a smaller scenario, all these buttons are unnecessary, right? And if you have to heat, there could be different methods. So in the past, I could hear answers like, assume that you have to heat something. You'll have one grill shelf, keep all the samosas there, and you heat it once and take it outside for everyone at once. And some people, when I'd given the option of pizzas, even in the microwave, they want to keep multiple levels of layers instead of keeping one pizza and then heat everything at once instead of placing only one and wasting the time. So again, there is no right or wrong answers, just to trigger your thoughts and keep seeing what all solutions you can come up with. The more crazier the ideas, the solutions also could be better in future. Okay. Now, again, another example of travel booking basically. So booking.com is a site which is usually used for booking your hotels, the place of stay basically here. And what usually happens is you enter any city that you want. You say how many people are going to stay in that place. You click on search and you see a list of results. The way the results come in will be in a certain manner. But now I'll give you another scenario here. Assume that you're traveling to, let's say, what's closer to Pilani, Arya, where people usually go for trips and all.
Like,
Delhi,
for trips and all, people prefer Jaipur.
Jaipur. Assume that you want to go to Jaipur and you want to find some places to stay. And you're three folks. Anyone who is here can assume that you're three folks who are going to stay in this place. So what is that you'll expect in the listing? Okay, that is a basic question. So what is that you'll expect? Assume that you're booking a flight ticket. You'll be seeing a flight, the carrier's name, the cost of it, the time, and if there is a layover or not, you'll be seeing all of this information, right, for a flight ticket. Now assume that you're trying to book a place. So what is that you'll expect in the next result, in the next page? If I search for, let's say Prague, Czech Republic, it could be Jaipur here. So what all will you be expecting in each of the list items? If someone enters in the chat, that is fine, or you can even speak out. But if it's in chat, Aryan, I want you to read it out for me.
Someone said hotel.
What hotel?
Hotel review.
Hotel view.
Price
Okay.
per night.
Hotel. Yeah. What else?
Price per night.
Price per night. Perfect. Yeah.
Availability.
Availability. Yeah. If it's available or not. Great. You can even go and search it parallelly and see if all of these are there. But anyways, so all of these are important points as well. If the price is on point for us, for the users, if the photos of this place is available or not, and the name of the place anyways, right? In booking.com, the way it works is we usually travel. If you're traveling abroad, you will actually notice that you won't get the visa first. You'll book the flight tickets. You'll have to go and show it to the embassy. The embassy will get your visa, and then only you get to travel. Which means that for the visa to come into picture, you'll have to book all the tickets and then only show it to the visa embassy, and then they'll give you the say documents and application. Now, in basically such scenario, as a user, you don't want to spend money when you actually don't know if the visa is going to come or not. Okay, so that's the problem statement which usually exists with all the folks. But what booking.com shows in general is this view, assume, wherein they assume that they show you apartment city center as the name of the place. And they're showing some reviews as well. Okay, 7.8 is a review that they're showing. They're showing you the cost of the place, and there is a small tag which says breakfast included. The map view is also shown, a small snippet saying say show on map, and it also says that it's bigger than most of the places in Zagreb, which is the capital city there, right? Then on top of it, you see there is an option called select your apartment, which means you can choose which apartment you want to go to, and you can move on. Now this is one set of information. But what happens is that when you're traveling abroad, you need, say, no cancellation fee as well, and you don't want to pay the money upfront. So usually this is how it otherwise is, wherein there is an option called free cancellation exactly under the cost. There is also another cost, another value which says no prepayment needed, which means you as a user are not supposed to pay earlier. You don't have to pay earlier. You can book it and keep it. You can do it later if you want. You're just booking it without the money for now. Okay? All of these are there. Plus one extra thing that you have seen here is the tag called apartments and one more tag called Genius. So Genius is a club membership that anyone will have. They're showcasing that as well. And because of all of this, the photo on the left side also has increased in size. Okay? But Booking.com is going one more step ahead. There is this say bias called scarcity bias, if you have heard, wherein they're giving you the feeling that this place has been booked almost like 3 times in the last 24 hours. It's giving you the feeling of anxiety that if I don't book this place now, it might get basically sold off. And you can see that there is something called color notion as well being used here. Everything that is green is usually which is free. Breakfast included is free. Your free cancellation is anyways free. The no prepayment needed is basically equivalent to free. Anything red is grabbing attention, which is making you feel anxious that you'll have to book this place, right? But there is one more thing that you have seen. You would have seen that in shops and etc. When people give you discounts, you're very happy, right? We don't even know the actual price of it. We'll assume that the price that they've slashed is the actual price, which couldn't be the case at all at any point of time. They'll simply slash something and show you as if it's something else, and we are okay with that, right? So here also we have that notion where $15,000 has been slashed, and you see something called 13 now. But Booking.com goes more than that. They say there is only one like it. They also say it's a secret deal, and without this you can't do anything else, etc. This again, I'm just cutting down whatever Booking.com has shown till now in every single step, but I'll actually show you what they are showing to the users. Okay. The next screen that I'm going to show you is the actual list item which Booking.com shows, and I feel they are doing too much personally. They also say that 98% of the guest reviewers had their expectations of this property met or exceeded, which is again in green. It's giving you a good notion. One other person looked for your dates in the last, let's say 10 minutes. It also says it's in high demand, booked 7 times in the last 24 hours. There's only one like it. Now with all of this elements which are there, all of these are basically scarcity bias that they're trying to bring on to you. You'd see this example on Amazon page. In Amazon, if you're trying to book something, there is a thing called lightning deal. I don't know if you have noticed that there is some option called lightning deal, and there'll be a percentage. They'll say that these many people have already claimed it. Now, if you want to claim it, there is only this much % left. So this is also an example of scarcity again. Or let's give you a very, very basic physical example, right? You are going to an ice cream store. I don't know what all famous ice cream stores are there in Pilani, but assume that you're going to Baskin Robbins or a Naturals or any other Ibaco and etc. There'll be a lot of ice cream flavors in the first place. And having so many options is called as the paradox of choices. You don't want to see so many choices because you don't know which one to eat. The good part about ice cream store is that they'll give you to taste every single flavor if you keep asking them. That's one good part. But on the other hand, you don't want to feel embarrassed by asking multiple flavors every single time and not purchasing anything. By the end of the time, you would have easily eaten 100 ml of ice cream. So hence, the thing is that you want to know what is the best one. Even before you question that other person, or even if you question the other person, you will be seeing which one is almost empty. The full ones you will ignore sometimes, assuming that no one has eaten it, which means no one likes it. The ones which are almost empty is the ones that will attract your attention, and you will feel that maybe this is good. Hence, so many people have eaten it. I'll also opt for this. And even the shopkeeper would also basically suggest that itself, plus something else which is not sold at all, if you're asking them for a suggestion. Okay. So this is one example which I wanted to give. This is too much, by the way, done by Booking.com. They're trying to reduce it nowadays. This was 1 year ago, done by them, put everything into picture. But nowadays they're trying to cut down on almost everything. But for an expert user, everything that you see here on the right side or on the left side is going to a blind eye for you. It's a blind option, or it's like a blind spot. You'll not be even seeing any of them. You'll be always seeing the cost. And as a traveler, you'll be seeing the reviews on top. You'd always want it to be 8 and above, or 7.8 and above, or 7.5 and above, and the cost, and you'll go and select the apartment. So there is nothing else that you would see. So for an expert, this is fine. For an entry-level user, this is a lot to consume. Well, this is called as a scarcity bias. Someone who purchased the limited edition, whatever Ferrari iPhone or the red iPhone, would go and boast about it a lot. But then you'll only notice that 1 lakh or 2 lakh people also have the same phone. There is nothing called limited edition anymore. It's that everyone has it. Only by giving a feeling that it's limited and rare and etc., they made you pay more. As simple as that. That's all. Okay. But showing more of these nudges. So all of these are small nudges inside the Booking.com. say showing more of this is only going to change the behavior of the users in an opposite manner. They won't like this option at all. Say Ola postpaid for that matter. Every single time they keep sending me a notification which says you'll have to opt for Ola postpaid, otherwise this will happen, that will happen, etc. Or it will also give me a weird notification which will say that you've already activated Ola postpaid, which I've never done. I'll come to that as well later. And what do you call such aspects when they say that you've already used it or already activated, etc. But this is a very bad behavior of doing things. Now, here is where I want some people to be on video only for, let's say 3-4 minutes, because I don't want to give this chance to everyone. Girls who have curly hair and guys who have curly hair, even though it's wavy, I want you to be on video for let's say 2 minutes or 3 minutes, because I'm going to ask you a question and you'll be answering the same. Okay? So anyone who has a wavy hair or a curly hair, or even if you have done it on your own, say naturally, artificially, it's completely fine. But I want you to be on video. Anyone that you know, or you can nominate the others also. If you know that this person has curly hair, you can nominate the others. Aryan, you'll have to tell me if people are on video and if they have wavy hair or curly hair. Even if you're in an unkept way, it's completely fine, folks. If you're sitting in the restroom also, it's completely fine. Just ensure that you're safe from the view. Is anyone on the video, Aryan?
No.
Okay. But let's open it to everyone then, this question. You can answer this in the chat, and I want again Aryan to check out and let me know. What do you think this logo is about? So this was the first logo of some brand. Which brand do you think this is the logo of? You can comment in the chat. It's a famous brand. The first devices came from them. You would have been flaunting it for a long time, saying even if you throw it, nothing is happening to that device in the past. If you ever use such devices. So
Yeah,
what are the
people
answers?
are saying Nokia.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody said hair straightener also.
Which one?
Hair straightener.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, so the term is Nokia. The word is Nokia. Nokia. The reason why you have a Salman and etc. on this is because the mill which was there where they used to do all these devices and all, it was in the shore of a river called Nokia something. The founder thought it's better to keep the same name itself. But over a period of time, the name changed and became properly Nokia with the logo itself, without all the fish and etc. Because there is no context of fish in a phone. Hence, they kept it Nokia and connecting people. But anyways, that's just a question. Let's talk about triggers, right? We would have heard about something called internal triggers and external triggers. Internal triggers as users are something which is very common, which is you feeling hungry is an internal trigger, okay? You feeling something about the surroundings. Assume that you smell something good in a hotel. It's an internal trigger due to something. If you feel sleepy, that's an internal trigger. Anything that you feel as a user on your own is an internal trigger. External triggers are when someone else is doing something on you as a user. Now, let's take an example of the most famous, say, language learning app, Duolingo. Now, in Duolingo, if you've seen, they keep sending amazing SMSs or on push notifications and etc. One such that you see is ace your learning. They say got 5 minutes, ace your learning and practice Spanish more. Then again, they say don't give up, give learning Spanish another try. Now, if you as a user are not even reading any of these, if you're not opening any of these, they have a track anyways. You'll be tracking literally all of these notifications to see if people are reading it or not. At the end, they have gone to this mode of saying this, saying that these reminders don't seem to be working. We'll stop sending them from now. As a user, first of all, you feel happy that someone is actually valuing your time, because they are themselves telling that they're going to stop sending you SMSs or push notifications. But this is also triggering you to click and see what is that they're doing now. So you as a user are clicking on it to open and see what all is going on as well. And you might do a course or two in Duolingo and use it for some time. On the other hand, assume that you're traveling, you're going somewhere and you have never been using say Duolingo for a long time. Instead of receiving an SMS notification or a push notification, you're receiving an emailer, right? Now, emailer comes like this on the left side. It says you made Duo sad. So the copy again, so design doesn't just involve designing something which looks cool or amazing, etc. But content design also comes into picture, where you need the help of a UX writer to basically write all of these copies. Now it says you made Duo sad. Now with all the random emailers that you usually get in your Gmail, right? When something which comes with an emoji and says you made someone sad, it feels something personal, right? So you try to go and see what is going on, and you also see that you'll be seeing the owl's icon as a thumbnail as well for it, which makes it even more say emotional for you to go and check out what is going on. Now, when you go and check it, all you see is the thing on the right side, where everything is trying to call for attention. Literally everything on the page. You see a treasure box which is calling for attention. You see the crown on the top which is calling for attention. You see the gem on the right corner. You see a button called Start Review. Everything else below is also colorful. Plus has another thing called plus on top of it. So people might be confused to understand what is the plus about and what is the plus on top of it about, the tag about. It could be Duolingo plus or something. But the context here is that there is something called Hicks law, wherein showing a lot of options like this is going to confuse the user. So you need to act upon very clearly, or you need to do a progressive disclosure, which means only whatever is necessary for the user at that moment is what is supposed to be shown, and not everything. In this case, what can happen is you can show the Start Review button maybe to start with for the user after you press any button from the emailer, instead of showing almost everything. So that's one thing that you need to understand. Plus, there are a lot of dark patterns available in almost all the apps. One recent tab that I found, I think if you're in lockdown mode and if you don't go to the saloon, you would obviously have used Urban Clap, right? Now in Urban Clap, this happens wherein you select haircut for men. The cost shows 249 rupees. When you click on view cart, it opens another page where automatically, without doing anything, without you as a user doing anything, it will select you the 12-month option. It's not even the 6-month option. It will select the 12-month option. The cost is shown very small on the left corner. It will just say proceed. You won't even know what happened. Without user's consent, you're asking them that you have been, you're supposed to buy the 12-month plan. At the same time, you're increasing the cost of it. You're not even saying that you're going to give it for free. Increasing the cost for something that was 249, you're making them pay double and still making them proceed. This is a big example of a dark pattern. And one more example that you have seen is, assume that you're going into Amazon for the first time. You're trying to purchase anything which is commonly bought or frequently bought. The default option is not one-time purchase, but the default option is basically subscribe now. Now, you as a user, you don't want this coming every month. You wanted to try it once and see if it's working fine or not, and not for every month. But default option is basically selected as subscribe now, and it's showing you the button. This is another example of a dark pattern. The third one is the most common one that you'd have noticed. Basically in WhatsApp, you would have sent a message to people saying something or the other. Now you want to delete it. You have deleted it. The reason why a problem was basically solved by WhatsApp is because they wanted to basically delete all these messages and not show it to the users. But instead, you're creating more anxiety with people by saying you deleted something. Now the other user is even more doubtful than before on you, that what is that you deleted? They keep on questioning you. They keep on irritating you by asking what is that you deleted. Now this is a problem. But this problem is not completely solved as well. At least in this case, you can tell something or the other and ignore it. But let's see the other example. Assume that you're in a group and you message something and then you deleted it. But before you delete it, assume that someone has say quoted your tweet or replied to your message and said something about it, which means that the deleted message doesn't go away. It stays as you and it comes here and then it shows you the option. So this is such a very, very bad example of what do you say, like a bad UX. On top of it, it also has a dark pattern wherein it shows you that you deleted the message and makes it even more painful for the users. So never do such say examples at all, or such solutions at all. The third thing would be, you would have noticed that when a user is reading the message on the notification panel, the other person would not get the red notification at all, or the red say status, which means that the person has already read your message. Even if you delete it, it doesn't make sense. So almost everything that you see in WhatsApp, even though it's a billion-dollar company, has issues literally all the time, right? Now, the last one, the most fun one that you would have seen, is about Netflix. We all know that Netflix, as soon as you open the page, while on Chrome or on, let's say on Prime or any other platform, this doesn't actually load instantly, right? But in Netflix, even when you land on this page, something automatically plays. Assume you're in office, okay? Or let's assume you're in a classroom trying to open Netflix by chance, just to see if there is any new movie or something. Now, when you open, even without your consent, even without you clicking on a play button, the video which is on the primary area, the landing page, will start playing, and it'll be loud as well. It'll be extremely loud. Just go and try it in case you haven't tried it in the night today by watching something. The first video which plays will be extremely loud and annoying, and it will try to grab for attention. It's not required. When you as a user are not even clicking on anything to make it appear, there is no point in doing so. So this is the other example of dark pattern. I'm not sure how many people use any phones apart from Android here, iPhones basically. This is the most common problem which happens with every single iPhone user, which is when you want to actually take a photo, when you want to actually capture a moment, there's a pop-up that says cannot take photo. And it says that there is not enough memory in your phone. So you'll have to go to your settings and manage something. Now it doesn't give you intimation on how many photos should I delete to capture this photo. What I do is I would have captured some around say 20,000 photos till now. I'll go and delete a lot of videos unnecessarily. Even when I come back and take a photo, it will still say the same. It will say you cannot take a photo. So I don't even understand how many photos or videos should I delete to even capture one photo. And the option again says basically settings and done. You can't say I want to bypass this and delete the most common photos and take another photo and etc. and all. It is not even letting you take a photo at a moment. Assume that you have been seeing a meteor shower, which literally happened to me in Dubai recently. We saw a meteor shower. I wanted to capture the photo, but it said cannot take photo. Now that moment is gone, literally gone. So all of these are instances that people have to keep in mind when they're designing. So it's not right to put anything in assumption or hypothetical situation, etc. Now I'll give you an example of Zeta, right? So what happens in Zeta is that while we do something called banking solutions, but before the pandemic, we used to do something called even cafeteria solutions, wherein for every single office, every company that you see around, let's say Cisco, Amazon, or any big organizations for that instance, if they have a cafeteria inside their campus, so we used to be the solution providers for the cafeteria there. What happens here is that we have a list of menu items in our phones, just like Swiggy or Zomato and all. The users within the company can basically select whatever they want to eat, and they can go to the counter and they can collect the food. What used to happen before Zeta was that there was a lengthy queue during lunch. Literally everyone would flock into the front of the merchant, and there'll be 4-5 merchants. Everyone will flock into the front of the merchant. They'll stand in the queue. They will keep paying the amount first of all. Then they'll have to go to another queue where they have to collect the food. So we tried to cut down almost all of this by giving them one single option wherein you can order directly. You can go and collect the food and you can eat. Now, how do you do this is basically you have to show a receipt like this to the merchant. Assume that you have gone to Dunkin' Donuts, you're trying to make a payment there. You paid 450 rupees. You used all your, say, payment instruments like meal vouchers, cash card, etc. within your app. Now you're showing the screen to the merchant. So this used to happen for almost 3-4 months. Every single user used to go and show this receipt, and the merchant used to give the food items. But the end of the month, the merchant calls the Zeta folks and says that in the past, I never had a loss, but now I'm having a loss. I have a loss of 5,000 rupees every month. I don't know what is going on, right? Now, the only way to do this is the way the Heinz researchers did it, is by observing things. So what we did was, 2 of us, basically me and another person from our team, we went and stood along with the merchants. We behaved like a merchant itself there. We stood exactly beside them and we saw how is this happening. Even in big companies, I'm not going to name the companies, even in big companies, people cheat. So what they did is that they took a screenshot of this area, of this receipt. They showed it to the merchant and they were collecting food. The only way to figure out if it's a fake receipt or not a fake receipt is by asking the user to basically swipe that screen and see what is going on. If it's going into a gallery, of course, it's a fake receipt. If it's opening Zeta app itself, it's obvious that they have done it in a real manner. So we could easily notice that it's a fake receipt that people are showing, and hence the loss, hence the 5,000 rupee loss every month. So what we thought, we came back to our drawing boards. We found out all the crazy solutions. The first solution was to change color code every single day. We thought we'll keep, let's say, red color every day, and we'll assume that every single user is coming to the merchant and saying that today's color is red. If the merchant sees that the color is red, it means that it's basically today's receipt and it's not a past receipt. If it's green, then again, it could be the next days and etc. So we thought the merchant would know the color, the user can easily show the color, and the transaction is done. But then the problem was, assume that A person is going and showing the receipt. The same receipt can be transferred to the B person, and the B person can again go and show the receipt. So again, there is a loss. So this also didn't help out. So finally, we thought it's easy. And if the merchants are doubting these users, again, there's a problem. The users will feel that, you know what, I'm a corporate employee, you're doubting me, and this is not good, and etc. is what they will feel. So the merchants were feeling very, very scared to even ask the users to do anything for themselves, or basically swipe it and show if the transaction is correct or not. So finally, we went with the motion design option, because the reason is because a lot of people will come and flock in front of the merchant by saying that I've done the payment, by showing it like this. So we thought we'll show it in a quick manner by animating the receipt itself instead of doing anything else. So this really helped the users. We sat, it helped the merchant. We sat with the merchant and asked them if this option will help out for them. They were happy with this. We went ahead and implemented, and it worked out fine. So that's how you do design changes and etc. This is another example of showing users some delighters, wherein you say it's time for good lunch. For snack, you tell them what is the context and stuff and show them the options. I'm going to skip this for now. Basically, this logo is actually Canon's logo. It looks like basically Canon. It's a goddess of mercy. But so design thinking process is something which I'll quickly take you through. There are 5 steps in this. They could be boring to know. So, and hence I'm going to go fast on this one because you can learn it on your own as well. Examples, you can't learn it on your own. Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. These are the 5 steps in the design process. Empathize is nothing but basically the heart of the design, wherein you need to feel the users. You should not be concerned about the situation of the user, but you need to feel them. You need to be in their shoes and understand what is the problem that is going on. So that is one thing which is important as a first step, wherein it's the journey of feeling the others. Here is where you understand what are the challenges that users face. What are the things that you have to keep in mind? What are the moments that basically delight these users? All of these you have to keep in mind. In the define stage is when you basically reframe the problem. You try to understand what the actual problem statement was by understanding the goals of the users and understanding who the user is in the first place and what is their need in general, right? That is called define. Then comes the fun part, which is ideate, where you bring in all the stakeholders together, be it a product manager, a QA, a developer, or anyone around, all the clients also whom you work with, and you basically brainstorm together and see what is wrong, what is right. You come up with a lot of ideas in this space, right? So you keep thinking and coming up with all the crazy ideas that is possible. There is a method called Scamper Method. There is a method wherein you come up with one of the worst possible idea. So that's also the name of the method, by the way. You come up with the worst possible idea. So all of these are also taken into picture. There is nothing called a bad idea. So you take everything, you see if it's technically feasible or not in the next step itself, or at the end of the session itself. Then comes the prototype part, which is the most fun for any designer because they get to see things moving around literally on how they wanted it in the first place. So here is where you'll have to do things faster and keep showing it to users. The reason is very straightforward because you would have heard that a picture speaks 1,000 words, but a prototype will actually cut down literally 1,000 meetings. You don't even have to conduct so many meetings to make someone understand something. You show the prototype and everything is basically sorted. So that's the prototype stage. Finally comes with, this is where you get early feedback from people. It saves the time and cost. It helps you in validation and etc. Next comes basically testing, wherein you need to see if whatever product you have built is actually correct or not, or if it's whatever the users want or not. So you show this to the users, you try and see the way they're using it, you observe their reactions and etc. You come and iterate. So this is where you have to recruit users, you have to set some objectives or scenarios to the users, you test it with them, you observe it, and you come and change. Just a normal thing about what people assume as consumers, what consumer has in their mind. So in our mind, we'll have a lot of other problems going on. We won't think about one product that is out in the market. Just because I'm simply sitting and doing something, so Paytm won't come into my mind or Zeta won't come into my mind, right? So I'll have a lot more other problems. So people should know this. The ones who are building this should know that the user's mind is very, very complex and only try and trigger based on that. Yes, this is again the paradox of choice. If you're hungry, you have so many options to go to. But even when you go to Swiggy, for instance, you still see a lot of restaurants. You're again frustrated that you have to choose between the restaurants. If you choose the restaurant, you'll have to choose between the dishes now. Then after the dishes, you have to see which payment method to choose. But almost every single step that you see, you have a paradox of choice. So it's important for every designer and every product manager to understand what is that they are designing, who is that they are designing for, understand their mindset, basically empathizing with them, and then only choose the options wisely. This is a very simple example that I'll give. I don't know what is your usual preference, but in South India, if you see, people usually go for Starbucks for this coffee sometimes, but only when you want to sit for a longer time, okay? And you're okay to pay 150 bucks for this. On the other hand, you will be seeing this coffee, which is usually sold in the roadside store, or even a tea for that matter, which is not going to cost you more than 15 rupees. In general, the right side one tastes better than the left side one, but the left side one is expensive, and you as users are still okay with paying the 150 price. The reason is very straightforward, is because Starbucks or any other big shops for that matter, they don't get the price only for the cost of the coffee, but also for the Wi-Fi, for the ambience, for the music, for the experience that you gain with them, and for the amount of time that you can sit without anyone coming and complaining, saying that you'll have to go out. So all of these are the reasons why someone is charging you 150 rupees, and with the latte art as well on top of it, right? But the right side one is something which is good in taste for you, and it's easy to consume for you, faster as well, and you pay a lesser price. Now, on the other hand, the left side one should taste like coffee. If it's not like coffee, you won't pay 150 for that. So that's the other part. Coming to delighters, this Mohit would have told you yesterday about Kano model, but let's show some examples. This is a Japanese toilet, okay? Something very funny that you would realize, in India, if you have to go to a private bathroom, assume that you're in a public bathroom and you have like a lot of restrooms nearby. Now, if you have to make some private noise there, assume that you have to fart literally, right? You will parallelly press either the flush button or you'll switch on the tap to sing the feel or to sing the sound, right? You would not really do one thing or the other later. You will always try and sing the sound. Now, what is happening in this context in India is that a lot of water is being wasted because you're flushing the water or you're switching on the tap. But Japanese found a solution for that as well, wherein there is an option called music button that you're seeing here. So if you want to make any private noise like that, sounds, you can press this button, which will give you the same sound as a flush sound, but it will not waste water. It's only the sound which will come in. But you as a user can do whatever you want and then continue. So there is no embarrassment whatsoever for the user. And this is literally there in every single toilet in Japan, even in the hostel, right? They also have a perfume button. I've never tried it, but it exists in one of these buttons itself. And there is even a temperature setting because it's very cold out there. Hence there is a temperature setting as well. Oh yeah, that was a sound basically. This is an example that I've done in housing.com, wherein if card details has to be entered, it should be done in an easy way without stressing the users to tell that you have to turn at the back of the card and all. So how is that you can easily show, and this is something which is very old, around 2015 card design. So if you flip the card and show that the CVV comes here, the user will know that the CVV is here from the card and they can enter it. Just for easy context, basically. This is one more option done in housing where assume that you are a person who is living in a flat and you want to entertain some flatmates into your house, but you will have a preference, right? You will say that this other person should not be smoking or not drinking. They should be only eating vegetarian food or no overnight guests and etc. So how do you, in a fun way, show all of this? Was this option about, wherein when you remove each of these options, it goes away from the screen. The light also switches off, smoke goes away, and everything is done. So this is an example of delighter for users. When you could have simply kept 4 options and made it boring for the user, but you're making it more delightful for them to use. Now comes the frustrators, wherein let's say you're going into a hotel. Your expectation, the basic expectation is Wi-Fi. And if you're going to Shimla kind of hotels and etc., the basic expectation in the restroom is hot water. Assume that you're not getting either of them, right? In that case, you're very, very frustrated as a user because your basic expectation is not met, but something unnecessary is there. So that's called frustrator basically. And this is the Kano model, which even say Mohit would have showed you yesterday, wherein over a period of time, all of these delighters can become a basic need. I'll give an example here. So Google Pay, I'm guessing most of you would have used. And in Google Pay, the one irritating thing that you'd have noticed now is better luck next time, almost on every single card that you see. But initially, they used to give you a lot of cashbacks, right? So which was a delighter at one point of time. But over a period of time, they reduced the cashbacks, the vouchers, and etc. And now it became a basic need. Now, every single transaction that you make in Google Pay, you expect some amount or the other, but you're not getting it, hence you're frustrated. So a delighter, which was there at a previous time, can become a frustrator over a period of time if you keep doing the same thing without doing something new. That's the example of Kano model. Some common principles that you have to follow are straightforward. Stay out of people's way, which is not exactly in this means. Don't bring in any spam in the middle by blocking the user's flow. And so whatever they want to do is what you'll have to let them do, and not something new out of the blue as well. And present fewer choices. Don't give a lot of options to them. You have to limit the distractions, which is the Hicks law that I told. Don't give them more options or more distractions and confuse the user. And you have to group anything which is related. That is also the thing. Visual hierarchy has to be shown very clean to the user. Anything that you show visually in the page has to feel like a hierarchy for them, that after this I have to do this, and not everything cluttered. You have to provide more context when it's necessary, but also remember that less is more. Don't overdo things on the page. Don't add a lot of elements on the page. Also, less is more. Using simple language is important. Don't use any say complex jargons as well. Feedback also matters. If you click a button, give the feeling that you've clicked the button. If you're going back, give the transition feel that it's basically moving back as well. and confirm before you commit. If you're deleting any app from your phone, it will show you an option saying, do you want to really delete this app, right? So confirm before you commit, and keep it consistent across the pages. Use accessibility very, very importantly, basically color contrast. Some people are colorblind. They can't find the difference between a green color and a red color. So what you have to do is you'll have to use the metaphors, which is, let's say, tick or an X as a metaphor, instead of just using the color as well. Use even common patterns. If some other brand is doing something very commonly, and if a lot of other brands are doing something common, try and use the same pattern itself if possible. Add personality to the design. It should not feel like a boring design. For example, Duolingo, Zenly, and Reflectly, all of these apps are really good in terms of their branding language as well. Everything that you do inside feels like very personal to you. Hence, it's important to add personality into the product as well. Now, interesting part is that designers usually come up with wireframes, then they do mockups, and then comes a final product. If you're developers, please don't take offense. If any of your developers try and become a better developer in future, but when designers design the wireframe, it looks little colorful as well, because people are not doing the pencil sketches anymore. They're directly going on to visuals nowadays. Then they do the mockups, which looks really good, cute, beautiful, and etc. But when you give it to the developers and you see the final product, it looks completely something else. So it's important for you as a designer to sit with the developer almost every single time when they're building something. Make them understand, so what are the nuances of the design, and make them build exactly the same that you gave and not something out of the blue. And now this also I'll skip. Basically, this is the logo of Yamaha. You can see that in the mouth of the Phoenix, you see a tuning fork. The same thing is being used in almost everything. This one, I can share it with you later, but I'll quickly go through it. Design process is shown in animation movies as well. I don't know if you've ever noticed this movie called How to Train Your Dragon. But if you see the details of it, you can easily see that they have shown empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test in almost every single step. I'll show you this for a moment. 1 second.
So why didn't you?
So in this movie, what happens is that there's a Viking warrior who basically goes and hits a dragon, and the dragon falls somewhere almost hurt. So this guy is trying to find out what is going on with the dragon. So he tries to see what is there and what is going on here.
This was stupid.
He finds the scale of the dragon basically. So here is where you see the empathy, wherein this guy is trying to figure out what is going on with the dragon. Why is the dragon not able to fly properly, and what is basically wrong with it? Now comes define, wherein you will find that he's trying to find out what exactly is the issue here, okay, and trying to reframe the problem or redefine the problem. So he draws and figures out that there is a tail.
Why don't you just fly away?
So one tail is not there, hence it is not able to fly. Now comes the other part, which is ideate, wherein this guy comes back to the drawing board and tries to research on the dragons in general.
Dragon classifications: strike class, fear class, mystery class. When startled, the thunder drum produces a concussive sound that can kill a man.
So tries to understand about all the dragons in this scenario. But for whatever he wants to do,
its victims, buries its victims, chokes its victims.
Okay. So then he figures out that now to build the prototype for this, to ensure that the dragon can use this. So he goes to the drawing board, he figures out how to build it. built the prototype now. Now he has to go and test it. So what happens is that he goes to the dragon. You have to make the users feel comfortable.
You're hungry. Landed cop.
So he tries to make the user feel comfortable here to try and test it.
It's okay. That works.
So we try to help the user a little bit.
It's working. Yes, I did it.
So what happened here was, without the designer actually helping out the user, the user was not able to use it properly, right? So designer had to handle the user, which means that the designer had to come back and iterate the designs. So he comes back, iterates. Yeah. Then the final touch is nothing but he adds some delighters, basically paints the tail of the dragon.
Ready? Homies or
So he basically painted it, and so that's it, folks. Thank you so much. And I have some links here in case you want to take a note of it. There's something called Loss of UX and Coursera's Google UX Design course. It's an entire 5 to 6 weeks course, I guess. And there is something called 52 weeks of UX, which has a lot of articles as well. It's going to be simple. It's not a very difficult one to read. It will be like a story for you, I believe. That's the other part. And in case you want to ask me any doubts personally, you can reach out to me on almost all the platforms. Please don't use Facebook anymore because I have gone past that stage now. Instagram is a very common platform where I can respond anytime you want. And I've kept it common for you so that you don't have to worry about the username at all. One more thing that I want to end with is by telling you that once you graduate, yes, you're in your first years and second years and third years and all. But once you graduate, ensure that you spend time in traveling. A lot of these experiences that I've learned or anything that I've learned is not through books. Completely opposite to Mohit, the one whom you saw yesterday. He reads a lot of books. I don't even touch a book, but everything that I've learned is only through experiences that I've gained. And I'm happy doing that, or anyone else learning and then giving me the gyan, right? So it's important for you to do so as well. And you will start empathizing only that way, because every single country people would be very different for you. India is very different and foreign is very different, right? So you will understand people in that way if you go and mingle with them. With that, I'll be thanking Aryan and the entire BITS Pilani group for having me in this session and ensuring that they've spent time till now, till the end. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. The session was amazing. I hope all of us learned a lot of things about design, and this will spark an UX interest in a lot of us. We'll continue also the links you've shared. I urge everyone to try them out. You'll learn a lot of things.
Yeah, I can share
Thanks
the
a
link
lot, everyone.
in the chat if you want. Just a moment. All three of them, I'll just put it in the group here. Yeah, I hope it opens, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, I think Vivek has a question. Vivek? Rishabh and Vivek. Which Rishabh is this? You can ask a question publicly also if you want, or you can ping me on Instagram if you feel like. Okay. Vivek, if you want to ask the question here, you can ask. Are you around?
I guess he's not on the call.
Okay, take care then. Cool. For any questions that you want, I'm open to answering. Most of my sessions have been also through WhatsApp. I mean, in case you want to learn anything, I've pinged people on WhatsApp and I've taught them as well design on the next steps for them to be done. So you can ping me on Instagram. You'll find my number there. You can reach out to me and ask me any questions. If you want to get on a call to even discuss anything about your career and etc., I'm open to answering as well. Okay. So feel free. Don't feel like this person is someone who's called as a director. That's just a title given by someone. Just as a friend, you can call me and ask me anything that you want. Okay. Cool. Then thank you so much, Ritvik, and everyone else as well. See you soon. Yeah. Bye. Hey.
Thank you so much for the session. Like, really enjoyed the whole presentation and the deck. So it was very insightful, and at the end as well, like how you mentioned to contact you. It's great. It's great.
Cool. Thank you so much. Start observing things around you. That's the only thing that I have to say. And even if you read n number of books, you're not called educated unless you travel a lot. This is by some famous guy. I forgot his name though. I think Muhammad someone. But yeah. So you'll have to ensure that you keep doing the same and enjoy your life as well. Okay. Cool. Then have a nice evening. Watch movies and chill, or eat some good food and chill. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.